This is Hey y'all, this is Deborah Hughes. I am a student with MUW, RN to BSM program, and I'm doing my PowerPoint on the national opioid crisis in America that affects teenagers. I have a Master of Nurses here, a RN that has a master's degree, and several other healthcare professionals who will introduce themselves at this time.
All right, this is Suzanne.
Suzanne Schmitz.
Laura Stopper, RN.
And their Forrest DH Medical Aid.
I'm LaCrystal Griffin, and I am a clerk.
Okay. The opioid crisis started with, when asked to do this PowerPoint, and I was talking to some coworkers about it, they said, "Oh, you're gonna teach us about cocaine and marijuana." Well, yes, those are drugs and those are misused, but that's not the big thing that I want to talk about today in my PowerPoint. The thing I want to talk about today is opioids. They're very real, they're out there. People are getting them on the streets and in prescriptions. One of the things, and I've passed you out each a pamphlet that is in front of you, that we as parents of teenagers, and we all have teenagers, Christy, you have a teenage son.
I got two.
You got two teenagers. I have a teenager. And then you got grandchildren who are coming into the teenage years. And as they grow up, they will begin even more influenced with it. One of the things that I want you to be aware of, it started out as doctors and health professionals who wanted to control chronic pain. People have lived with chronic pain forever and ever. Tylenol has been a wonder drug, but now all of a sudden they think they gotta have something stronger. With one of the targets is teenagers. If they can addict our teenagers, then they can, and our adolescents, with the age being from 15 to 30. That is a wide age group, I know. That's 15 years difference. But if they can addict them anywhere from there, they can get them, and they won't make it into adulthood. Okay, if you stop and think about it, you got teenagers who are trying to find themselves. They are in a crisis. They are wanting to fit in. They are leaving peer pressure. They want to be liked. And if they can fit in with people who are doing the drugs, or if, for instance, if they can acquire the drugs to pass out, they're the king, or they're the queen. That's one of the things that we want to prevent. And the key with it is prevention. There is over 124 million Americans who die. Wait a minute, 124,000 who die from overdose from opioids. One big thing that is a big thing right now, when you think heroin, you think dirty needles, that's just nasty. Well, the big thing now is fentanyl that's on the streets. You look back and think back, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, when he went to sleep that night, he didn't know he was going to die from a fentanyl overdose. But guess what? He did, and that was a fentanyl overdose. And fentanyl is an opioid that was used, it was started out used in surgery as an analgesic, as a pain medicine, and as a pain reliever. But now you can get it prevalent on the streets. One of the things that is affecting the opioid use is there's increased cost in healthcare because you've got more people who are addicted to more drugs who have to have that treatment. They have to have that treatment for, if they go into a rehab, that's cost. Of course, there's criminal justice. That is a big thing because you get caught with it, that's a crime because it's an illegal drug. Especially if you're caught with fentanyl and you don't have a license, such as an anesthesiologist or a doctor or something of that nature, then it's an illegal drug. Okay, 1 in 4 people receive opioids on a regular basis. For instance, you go to the doctor, you hurting, and first thing they're going to say, what do you want for pain? That's the thing. And it's very common and it's very addicting. People don't think to tell the doctor, hey, I'll take Motrin, I'll take Tylenol, because they want that instant pain relief. And a strong opioid will give it. One of the signs and symptoms that, here are just some things, tramadol, that is an opioid. That is a very common pain reliever that is also a antispasmodic that will help with muscle spasms, back pain, things like that. Very common prescribed. Tylenol with codeine, that's another one. That's an opioid. These are all opioids that can cause addiction and can cause harm. Okay, what is the first, when you see somebody in the street, what is the first thing that comes to your mind that they're on drugs?
Where they getting them from?
Okay, that's good. Where they getting them from? And Suzanne, what about you?
I was given oxycodone when I had my dog bite, when I was at the ER.
Now, why would they give you oxycodone for a dog bite? It hurt.
It was hurting, but, I mean, my ibuprofen would have done the same thing.
Exactly. But when you start, one of the signs that you look for is extreme weight loss. Weight loss is a big red light that should come on when you start looking at drug use. Why? Because they have increased activity, they have loss of appetite because they're busy. Going. You ever been around somebody who is addicted to drugs, who they can't sit still? They're active. Their mind can't stay straight. They're moving, they're going. They can't sit still. They cannot sit still. Okay, some of the things, they have a loss of, if you got a child who is very active in sports and good grades, great group of kids to hang out with, they all of a sudden change their group of friends. School ain't important. They go. If they don't, they don't. It's okay. You start looking for signs of pills. You start looking for signs of drugs. What are we as a team, public health, doing to help combat opioid addiction? There's the extreme weight loss. We've got measures in place as public health that are in place. For instance, in 2016, Governor Phil Bryant signed a law into place to help combat. He put a team into place that their primary goal of this task force is to fight the opioid and the heroin epidemic in the state of Mississippi. We are also put in pharmacy regulations. That's when you saw, in 2016 is when you saw all the sinus medications went to the back burner. You couldn't get them off the shelf at a regular basis. Why? Because they were mixing all this stuff together, and because they couldn't get that ordinary high from the opioids because you couldn't get the prescriptions like you wanted to. And one of the things that is real near and dear to my heart is, because I am myself a recovering addict, is talk. Tell your kids about your experiences. Be involved in their lives and listen. They're trying to find their way in our life. We found our way in life. They're trying to find theirs. But listen, be active in their life. Know what's going on. Know their group of friends. Know what's what. But prevention is the number one key to combating the opioid addiction in America. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So I know you said weight loss was a sign. If they're on opioids, is depression a sign or?
It can be. Depression is a very good sign because they don't want to do anything. They lose interest in the things that they were doing. They lose interest in school. They lose interest in sports. They lose interest in all extracurricular activities. They want to be by themselves. They want to be alone. So yes, I would say depression is a side effect.
Do it cause mood swings?
Very much
tempers
so.
and things? Okay.
Very much so.
Oh, okay.
Very much so. So that's
So
a
like
very
in
good
their,
question.
other than weight loss, what other appearance? Would it be that they uncleanliness, would
They will lose.
stop
They quit.
hygiene?
Hygiene will diminish. They won't have a desire to bathe. They won't have a desire to brush their teeth, brush their hair. They don't care.
Okay.
They're all lack of careness is gone. Gone.
And probably caring for others goes
Oh,
away too.
Gone. Gone. Have no cares.
So when you find a teenager like that, how do you start towards getting them to get help?
One of the main things is you involve your social worker.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times your social worker will have resources that the layman doesn't. But you can turn to Christian counselors. You can turn to just the resources are out there. The rehab places, Life Help, for instance, is a good one. Life Help, I send a lot of people to Life Help because they are out there.
Mm-hmm.
They are out there. So it's very, French Help is amazing. They have licensed counselors, and come on in here, Sissy. We're just talking about opioid crisis in America. And would you tell the camera who you are and what you do with us?
My name is Sissy Johnston, and I'm the WIC clerk.
And I will go over in person everything that I went over.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. Any other questions?
That first statement that you made, controlling chronic pain, it can't happen.
No,
Because it just the pain gets worse and worse, and they want more and more, and thus opioid crisis.
right, exactly. That's why the number one thing with the opioid, to combat the opioid crisis in America, is prevention.
Ooh,
Good luck.
Try,
Exactly.
people, there is a study going on, I read about in Tucson, Arizona, with a second-year resident, doctor, when someone comes in, they won't give them pain medicine. They start them out on physical therapy. They make them mandatory yoga classes, things like that, to help instead of giving them a pain prescription, which I think is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are times when me, with my degenerative disc disease and my scoliosis, I can't hardly get up out of bed. But if I exercise and I move and I stretch those muscles, I get up and I don't take anything for pain. So, thank y'all so much for listening. Thank y'all for being a kind audience. And y'all been amazing.
You're more than welcome, and you did a very
Thank
good
you.
job.
You informed us today.